Scott, we can't hear you.
There we go. Can you hear me now? There we go. Perfect. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the four-way test in the things we think, say, and do. 1, is it the truth? 2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right, our reflection today. Mary Pat has our reflection.
Mary Pat got the reflection because Mary Pat didn't find someone to replace someone else. So that's why it's me today. So, yeah. I don't think so. I am going to be getting my hip replaced in 2 weeks. And so, I'm going to draw this story together for you on my reflection. But I'm a super active person, so I'm already panicking about not being able to stay in shape and work out, etc. So I bought a Peloton last week because I was like, that's the only way I'll be able to do it. At the same time that I bought the Peloton, part of what's happening in my work life is having a really large challenge this school year in trying to figure out the cadence of school, because it's very different this year. It's the most challenging year I've ever had in 27 years of being a principal. And on the Peloton, you have to keep the cadence of this particular speed. So this word has been sticking in my mind all week about the cadence of my school and work life, the cadence in the workout life, and also the cadence in what's happening right now in the fall as we transition from season to season. And so my reflection this morning is that word cadence, but it also is thinking about how we change and what the cadence of our life is. How do we typically move from season to season? So I'm going to just quickly read to you from a mindfulness book from Mark Williams and Danny Penman. And it says this: one of the most difficult aspects of the frantic rush through a busy life is that we do not allow even the smallest notion of completion to enter into the picture of our daily lives. We often rush from task to task, so much that in the end of the one task is just an invitation for us to start the other. There are no gaps in between in which we could even take a few seconds to sit, to take stock, to realize that we've completed something, to find the cadence in life. Just the reverse. How many times do we hear ourselves say, I haven't achieved anything today? And we often say, things just are their busiest. Is there an alternative approach? So in the practice that I'm asking here is to cultivate a sense of completeness, even a glimmer right now in this moment, in the light, things we have in our life. There's a chance that you would be better to be able to cope with these things if you just were there. You might learn that when you are complete and whole, you are just as you are. So I encourage you all to figure out and to find in the next week, what is the cadence in your life? What's the cadence in where we are in this fall season as we transition to winter? So, thank you.
The Rooters have our song in honor of Halloween. Not yet, you're all going to get to sing this song. And there are the words, it's Ghostbusters. So,
Halloween. Here's your cadence.
Ghostbusters. If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters. If there's something weird and it don't look good, who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters. I ain't afraid of no ghost. I ain't afraid of no ghost. If you're seeing things running through your head, who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters. An invisible man sleeping in your bed, who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters. I ain't afraid of no ghost. I ain't afraid of no ghost. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. All right, you can be seated. I told my husband Joey we were doing this today, and he said, "You guys are dorks." It took him that long to figure that out. All right, Mary Pat, I'm sorry to call on you again. Thank you for doing double, triple duty today. But if you could introduce our visiting guests and Rotarians.
I'm coming. Okay, so we have three guests this morning. I'm excited to introduce to you Meg Forney, who is a member of the Women's Club, and she's joining us. Meg, there she is. Anything you want to add, Meg? Any words you'd like to add this morning?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I am a member of the Women's Club. I tell people that I feel like I was born and raised here. My mother was very active. And so I am so delighted that Rotary is here. Really, you fit perfectly. I'm just delighted. I am a Minneapolis Park Board Commissioner, and not to be political, but I hope I'm going to be another 4 years. So be sure to vote, everyone.
And Meg is also very interested in becoming a member. So welcome, Meg. We also have a friend and a colleague of mine that we've never met in person. So I want to introduce the guest of Adekunle, who is Andrew Hoffman from the Y. So Adekunle and Andrew, please, Andrew Hoffman.
So Andrew and I, we've known each other since fourth grade. Yeah, I know, a long time. And, went through high school together and everything. And so he is officially my first guest ever for Rotary Club.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm the first time coming here. I have been involved in multiple Rotary clubs over the last 10, 12 years or so. Most recently, I served as the president of the Chino Lakes Rotary Club up in the Lino Lakes area. But I appreciate you having me here today. I am looking at possibly joining this club.
Yay. And we have one final guest, but I know that Susan has been around. She's been a member many times, but I want to give you the opportunity to speak to the club. I think she has some news to share.
Thank you. I do have a little news. My cadence is taking me to Arizona permanently. I fly a one-way ticket Tuesday, but my email and my phone stay the same. So Maria's already, we already set up golf in February with King. So if you ever come, please call me, contact me, I'll take you to lunch. And it's been wonderful. I don't want to get tearful, but I've been here, 25, 26 years, and it's been the best rodeo club in the world. And I'll miss you all. So come see me.
And that's all the guests all the guests. Any guests online that we are seeing? Any guests online?
No.
All right, wonderful.
I guess online.
All right, thank you for bringing those guests and visitors. Susan, we're going to miss you. I, in particular, am going to miss you singing your little part in the Java Jive song. So next we have announcements, and Anna Prisicari has an announcement this morning. Anna.
All right, I have a quick announcement. Some of you might remember abroad, one of my friends who's the director of the Bach Society a few weeks back, and she was playing piano at our foundation night. She offered 2 complimentary tickets to Rotarians as a thank you for hosting her and inviting her here. And the concert is this Friday at 7:30, I believe. So if anyone is interested in classical music and is available for this Friday, let me know and we'll connect you to her so you can get the tickets. But otherwise, I believe they're about $20 if you still would like to go to that concert. So I'll be sharing that with anyone who's interested here or online. Just send me an email. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Gary, I know that I usually wait until your mouth is full, but I'll kind of start keeping talking, and here you go.
All right. We now have, well, of course, we have our raking coming up. We've got 12 houses lined up in the Longfellow Seward neighborhood. And the raking is a week from Saturday, November 6th. The forecast is for a high of 50 that day. So no excuses, no rain, partly cloudy. We have about half the number of people signed up that we need. So this is a plea to please go on our website and sign up. I will send out another email within a few days to have a link that you can sign up through that. But we need more people. And of course, it's family friendly. Bring rakes, bring gloves. And don't forget that afterwards, those who want to are welcome to join us at Matt's Bar for Juicy Lucy's and fries and a beverage of your choice. So a week from Saturday, and please sign up. We need more people, or else we're not going to get to Matt's till about 2 p.m.
Yes, sign up early. Don't wait till the last minute. Sign up today. Any other announcements?
Right here online.
Right there online. Perfect. Easy to do. Yes, Anna.
I wanted to remind Jonathan, send an email that tonight is the open house for junior achievement. And we gave them a very big check at the foundation dinner, and they reserved 30 tickets for Rotarians. I know I'm going, Ellen is going. Oh, Carol's going. So if anyone is interested, it's open from 4 to 7. You don't have to be there for all 3 hours, but they have lots of activities planned from what I understand. So it'd be nice to go and visit them and meet the kids and interact with them. So I thought if anyone is available, just check that email from Jonathan, or I can provide the same information. And that's tonight. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I have a reminder to call John Grove if you have a chance. John really enjoys talking with folks. With COVID, he's getting fewer visitors. So if you have a chance, John, he was one of our original charter members of our club. Give him a call. The number is 952-948-7192. Again, it's 952-948-7192. He really looks forward to talking to folks. So if you have a chance, give him a call. I know Bob Minish just talked to him the other day. All right, it is Minnesota-Iowa football time. Kurt, come on up. Let's hear what you Iowans have to say today.
Fight for Iowa. There we go. Woo.
Go Gophers.
Go Gophers. There's some Gopher fan online. The one nice thing about Bob being online is he can't take over the microphone, and I can get the last word in. So for everybody, this is a long-standing tradition at the City of Lakes Rotary Club. We raise a lot of money. Bob, do you want to talk a little bit about the history, and then we'll actually get to fun stuff? So,
yeah, it started about 30 plus years ago when Ted Mullen, a charter member, and I had a $10 bet on the Minnesota-Iowa game. But the winner had to donate the money to Happy Bucks. A couple of years later, we kept on the bet tradition, and Ted and I had lunch, and he said, "Why don't we turn this into a club-wide fundraiser?" Which we did, and it's been going ever since. I'm sure the cumulative total now exceeds $150,000. Most of the time, our money's gone to Polio Plus. Last year, we partnered with the Cedar Rapids Iowa Club to raise funds instead of for polio to help with the storm damage in Iowa. That has led to us having a partnership with the Cedar Rapids Club to see which club per capita can raise the most money for Polio Plus. We've jointly gone with them to have a Floyd of Rosedale trophy that will go to the winning club. Like any good fundraiser, you should start out with a little money, and I'm pleased to announce our first two pledges have got a $500 per capita pledge towards this. So we're setting the goal high. So dig deep, and the money's going for a good cause, and bet on your favorite team. Take it away, Kurt.
All right, so just a couple things with that. So one, we've continued this relationship with the Cedar Rapids Club, and there's actually a competition going on. So we are going to compete with them to see who can earn more or raise more money per capita. They have a lot more members than us. You wouldn't think about it. Cedar Rapids is one of the biggest clubs in the country, and we are partnering with them. And so we're going to have this thing. Also, if anybody is going down to the game by chance, if anybody is a big Gopher fan or a Hawkeye fan and they're heading down to the game, they have invited us to their tailgate. So you can have a fun tailgater with actual Iowans, which is pretty fun. It is an amazing experience for anybody. They know how to tailgate down in Iowa. And then hopefully we can reciprocate for them. Right now, what we are going to do, actually, Brock, can you bring up? So there is, as always, we have a wonderful pledge sheet. It is out on the website right now. And you can go and you can pledge your bet. And of course, the way that we do this is that we have an opportunity that you can pledge per point, you can pledge per touchdown, you can pledge if Herky Hawkeye shows up, if Goldie Gophie shows up, if the cheerleaders show up. Look, you have all these different ways that you can pledge. Or you can just go and say, hey, I'm going to just pledge $100 because this is a good cause. And all of the proceeds this year are going to Polio Plus. So it is a fantastic cause as we're going forward here. In addition, we do have opportunities for people who are not maybe Gopher or Iowa Hawkeye fans that you can put another game in and you can pledge whatever you want for that game. In addition, and beyond that, we even have more. Wait, if you order now, you not only get these Ginzu knives, but if you guess the total score, pledge $20. And if you pledge, you can write the combined score for the Minnesota-Iowa game. And the one who is closest to that will get to have a dinner with us, which, with me and Bob, which would you want to have dinner with, right? But wait, there is more. So we heard last year that you guys were upset because we took Bowl Madness off. So because of popular demand, Bowl Madness is back. So Bowl Madness is this opportunity to say, hey, I am going to pledge another additional this is $25, but you can pick any team that you think is going to get into a bowl game. And if they do, your name will be entered into a drawing to win a fabulous scenic airplane ride with our own Mark Labowitz. So, and I was the winner this past year and it was fantastic. So I will. Yeah, it was rigged last year. This year, it's not. There you go. All right. That is true. There's nobody left in the middle of Iowa on the scenic trike down there and dropped off and come back. All right.
November 6th, the Steelers play Sayola. Challenge the Ole's to top us in our players.
There we go. We got an Ole, whatever the other team is. There you go. Jim.
Okay, now, can I have the microphone?
Here.
Bob was gone. I didn't know Jim was going to take over.
No, it's a tough act to follow, Iowa and Minnesota. There is another football game. It happens to be this Saturday. And it's between two Michigan schools, the University of Michigan and Michigan State. And those of you that know the logos, this is the famous Sparty logo. So Jonathan Hobbs, who, by the way, I recruited into this club when we're still friends, is a Michigan alumnus, and I'm a Michigan State. And this happens this year is unique. Both teams, if you follow football, are undefeated. They're 7-0, and they're meeting this Saturday in East Lansing. One is ranked 7, and Michigan is ranked 7th, and Michigan State 8th. And it's a big deal, right? So John and I are having a wager, just not to compete. And the winner buys the other one lunch. That's part of it. But the other part is whoever loses has to wear next Wednesday the opposite team's colors. So I hope he's on, but that's part of it. And by the way, the winner will also donate to the foundation. So go green.
I'm sure the winner and the loser will donate to the foundation. Jim, this is not the winner only here. Yes, you'll be donating as well. Okay. You didn't even hear that. Did you notice that? That was good. All right. We have Happy Bucks. I'm going to be going Happy Bucks. And the one thing with Happy Bucks today is there's a little white slips of paper on there if you want to write your name and donate. And we encourage a donation of $5 or more. At the end, we will take all those slips of paper and you will be in a raffle drawing for a wonderful box of caramels. Yes, yes. Death Wish, sorry, not watch. Death Wish coffee, which is the world's strongest whole bean coffee. So this is a good one. And our very own B2Bs. I wanted to get the right name. George Brewston has some wonderful honey here. And so we will put your name into drawings for all of those. Next week, we're going to have some other honey too. So we'll be doing this for the next couple of weeks. So get your wallets out now, get them out next week, get them out the following week, because we're going to be asking you for money. Happy Bucks, let's get going. And should I take this one?
Yes. Okay. And you can also donate online through Give Butter, clicking on our donation tab.
If you give online, we'll write your name in the chat if you're online, and we'll enter you into the contest as well.
$5. So us Target tiers are weird in that we know our anniversary date at Target. Today's my 12-year anniversary at Target, which is weird for me because I'm a millennial and usually we don't stick around that long. But
congratulations. All right.
That's all I have. Oh my God. You didn't call before to say get a 5 out, because who carries cash? So I just got back from a hunting trip with 11 friends and 7 dogs. And in this group, there were 2 Dougs and 7 dogs. And the other Doug's dogs got a cut ear pretty bad. And, everybody's worried about Doug's dog. And so all of our wives were at book club last night. And as we were driving home from South Dakota, we were calling, and my wife was very worried because she thought I had cut my ear off because the Doug's dog thing got all the way back to the wrong Doug and the wrong ear. So my ear's on.
You might need that to hear the music, right, Doug? All right, well, I'm glad your ear is here. That's worth it. That's worth the dollar. Here we go. All right.
Want that too?
I'll take that later.
I have a grandson who's a junior at Northwestern University in Evanston, majoring in journalism and environmental science. He entered a contest. Essentially, it wasn't a contest. He applied a competition because with NOAA, NOAA, the weather people, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. He was 1 out of 5 that got the scholarship and an internship for next summer. He'll be in Delaware, working outdoors.
Wow. Way to go. Who else at this table? Come on, somebody else at this table? Oh, come on over here. Anybody happy? Sean, here we go.
I have $40 because I don't have a 10.
This is the way you do it, people.
So yeah, you'll understand in a minute. The 2nd of November is our 30th anniversary. We were married in the Halloween blizzard, and it was super cool. We actually took snowmobiles to get to our own wedding, so that was a while. And Colleen, I mentioned before, Colleen is getting married December 18th. Really fun. She is wearing Cindy's wedding dress for her wedding, which is pretty cool that it's 30 years ago. And it's even cooler because it was actually Cindy's mother's wedding dress who got married 40 years before us. So it's a 70-year old dress and it fits her perfect. It looks beautiful. So yeah, it's super fun and having a good time. So thanks.
Congratulations, Sean.
So I donated the honey for the raffle today, and I only got 50 pounds of honey this year compared to 243 pounds in 2019. So it's all the more special. So that's.
There's this behavioral science thing called scarcity. That means that the value of the honey just, there you go.
Money first. Just wanted to say that I was very grateful for a week and a half ago. The weekend was really, really nice. And Mama and I went to Red Wing, Minnesota for the first time. So the big boot, hiked, and just had a really, really nice time. So it was just nice to get a little outside the city, but not too far, and enjoy the beautiful weather.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you, Anna. Who at this table? Anyone?
There you are.
Thank you.
And yesterday, Lynn and I had lunch together, and so we got to know one another a little bit, and it was very fun. So I encourage you all to do that and get to know new members.
Wonderful. Mr. Nelson.
$5 for the new bell.
Bell ringing trainer though, coming in? No, all right, all right. Anybody else? Anybody else here? Who else is happy? Who else is happy and wants to share some happiness with the club?
Here is, I've already made my spiel, so there's a down payment on next week's win.
Anyone? No, coming back my way. Okay. Brock, oh, here we go.
Kurt, one thing, if anybody goes to Iowa for the game, they should practice, get a dictionary for one-syllable words so they can communicate with the Iowans.
I was trying to say something, I don't know what. There you go.
Hi. Hi, I'm Ann Otis, and I'm a new member, and I had a delightful lunch with Cindy, but I want to take a minute to just say as a new member how welcome I feel, and that I've just had such great interactions with so many of you. I look forward to making everyone's acquaintances, but special call outs to Maria and Jean and Cindy for making me feel so welcome. Thank you.
I gotta run, Dick, here we go. Dick wants to get another airplane ride.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the airplane ride, I urge you to give that a shot. I had the opportunity, Kurt and I both went on this last one. And it was very, you go on a small plane, you have to have confidence in your pilot. And Mark, I'll have to say, Mark does a very good job, very regimented and careful, and you get a lot of confidence in his pilot. After we got up, however, Kurt did the co-pilot thing. And it's interesting to hear the back and forth between the controller and the pilot and everything. And so Mark really did a good job. Partway through the plane, however, he switched the controls over to the co-pilot. And I'll just say there was a marked difference in the confidence that I had. But I did survive, and I do recommend, give it a try.
I think his blood pressure went up like about 3 times as soon as I took over on that. All right, Grant.
Here's a couple of bucks in honor of my favorite football team. It's the only time I've seen a football team win based on culture, flex culture.
Fantastic. Yes, okay. And we have Brock.
There's $20. Yesterday, the FDA announced that the vaccine was safe for children 5 to 11. So that means as soon as the CDC agrees with them, which we're told is going to be next week, then we can get my daughter vaccinated, and that's going to make me feel a whole lot better.
It's coming right as my daughter is turning 12 on November 23rd, so it's gonna happen right at the time that she'd get it anyway, but yes, that's fantastic.
And I got $20 for the Olies. So far I see Gail, Doug, all these. Gary, I haven't seen a Gusty contribute yet. So, okay, there's your challenge. There's your challenge, Gusties.
Jim Moss is gonna take us all for a ride.
I got you covered. I got you.
At the end of the meeting, we will take a raffle and we'll get these out here. So just a couple minutes at the end. Back to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Our day chair today is Gail Noakes, and today she's going to get a proper introduction. Gail has worked in a variety of industries and roles over her career. She spent 18 years in several manufacturing companies, working in learning and development, continuous improvement, and quality. Gail spent 14 years as the Chief Learning Officer and Principal for Clifton Larson Allen, a national accounting and consulting firm. Throughout her career, Gail has facilitated and instructed individuals and groups in leadership development, coaching, team design and development, group improvement processes, etc. In 2016, Gail formed her own company, Gail Noakes Supervisor Success. She works primarily with manufacturing companies and provides frontline supervisors, leads, and managers with the tools and experience to be confident in leading their people. Gail holds a Master of Arts degree in Human Resource Development and a certificate in Organization Development from the University of St. Thomas. She received her Bachelor of Arts degree from St. Olaf College, Winge. And Gail joined Minneapolis City of Lakes Rotary Club, the greatest Rotary Club in the world, in 2003. She says she has enjoyed every minute of it ever since. Gail, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Scott. I am happy to introduce our speakers today. First off is Kevin Winge. He's been the executive director of the Women's Club of Minneapolis since September 2020. For 17 years, he led 2 innovative nonprofits that provide nutritious meals to people with chronic illnesses: Open Arms of Minnesota and Project Open Hand in San Francisco. Through the nonprofit ACEA, Acacia Global, he works to develop leaders in South Africa. Kevin is the author of Never Give Up: Vignettes from Sub-Saharan Africa in the Age of AIDS, and the recipient of the College of Liberal Arts Alumni of Notable Achievement Award at the University of Minnesota. In 2006, Lavender Magazine named him its Person of the Year. Kevin was a Bush Foundation Leadership Fellow. He holds a Master's of Public Administration from the Harvard Kennedy School and a BA from the University of Minnesota. Joining Kevin is Jennifer Van Wyck, and she is the Director of Strategic Growth for the Women's Club of Minneapolis. She oversees the vision and implementation of the club's revenue operations and experiences. She has over 20 years of experience in nonprofit management, fundraising and development, board leadership, special events, and strategic development. Jennifer has worked personally and professionally in areas of food insecurity, cardiovascular and women's health issues, global initiatives, youth programs, and job assistance and training to people living with disabilities. She continues to be passionate about the Twin Cities community, especially around hospitality efforts, the restaurant community, people, and relationship building. Please join me in welcoming Kevin and Jennifer.
I'm a Gopher fan, so let's just get that out of the way.
Both of us are Gophers, Kevin and I.
I know, here we go. Show me the money. A true fundraiser. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back again this week. And thank you so much for last week. Let's just pause and reflect on what a fabulous evening last Wednesday was here at the club. And not just with Rotary, and I thank you for navigating the logistics of parking that evening, because that was something. But let's just celebrate that people were out, they were meeting, they were gathering, they were doing all the things that were somewhat normal. And we did it safely. And we had almost 160 people in the club that evening between the 3 events we were hosting. So that may not seem like a big deal, but for us here at the club, that was awesome. And we pulled it off, I think. So even better. You heard our introductions. What I just wanted to start by letting you know kind of this Batman and Robin style team that Kevin and I have, and many of you have spent some time with us now. But what they mentioned about Kevin coming from Open Arms in particular, as executive director, I was serving on their board of directors at the time. So this is, I don't want to date ourselves, but it's a long time ago. And at that time, we were focused mainly on providing meals to people in the early stages of HIV/AIDS. And that was twofold, a couple of things. That was also about getting food to people that didn't have means. They were shut in, a lot of stigma, all the things in the early time of HIV. And then the second part of that was the lack of compassion and somebody ringing the doorbell with a hot meal and saying that you are still loved, right? And that became, for me, a real passion piece to this topic of food insecurity. And what we know as dinner around the table is much more than a plate of food, right? It's conversation, it's hope, it's love. It's all of those things that go into that meal, not just the food and the nutrients. At Open Arms, we were able to do a fabulous program for about 19 years around just HIV/AIDS. And we decided to open arms even wider and start serving other illness populations. We took on breast cancer, MS at the time, and eventually ALS. And I think today they have almost 80 different chronic and progressive illnesses that they're reaching with their nutrition program. Pretty cool to be a part of. But at that time, of course, we needed money. It always comes back to funding to be able to launch that kind of vision to reach even more folks in our community with these meals. So Kevin invited me to come on staff from the board. Do I regret that? No. Pause for reaction. One of the best decisions I've ever made, personally and professionally. So I've just embarked on a journey that was going to help sustain nutrition, compassion, all those things that I just said, and make a difference in the Twin Cities. But the other cool part was I started working with that guy. And apparently we can't get away from each other. So at that time, we were also invited to be members here at the Women's Club. This is where I'm going here. And we were pretty active. I was active for about 7.5 years. And I was excited about that role and bringing kind of a nonprofit presence to the Women's Club. And there were so many things at that time that were blocking this club, I'll just say this in all honesty, from growing and evolving and telling its story. And some of that was just mere protection, right? The women were excited about their club and their events, and change is hard, right? Change is hard. But it was time, I think the last couple of years, and certainly the pandemic sped this up, that change is probably necessary and it can be healthy at times, right? And there was a pause for the board to look at kind of the next steps and the next phase of what they wanted the club to be. And they found Kevin, which is about the best gift any organization, nonprofit or otherwise, could receive in leadership. But what came with that was my bat phone rang at home and said, if I do this, you're coming too.
And we joked for many years as members, you know, oh, it would be fun to get our hands on the club, what we would do. And now, was that a dream? It felt like a dream, and now I'm not sure. We took on a big project here a little over a year ago, back in September. But we're excited about the direction that we're taking the club. This is about the best example of how we're doing that, because you all are community partners. You all are small business owners and advocates. You all are human beings that love food. Most importantly, it's about getting folks into this building. How many of you didn't even know about the Women's Club until this all started, right? Our new journey together. And it's because of you that we can keep telling that story and so on and so on. This is over 100 years of history and great programming that we want to continue. And we think that it's more than just dining, although that's a key element here. And we're trying to bring folks to the Women's Club. But we want to mix it up a little bit, and we want to challenge people with thinking about their dining differently, thinking about their meal differently. And that's where we can do some soft education on food insecurity issues around the Twin Cities. It's what we were founded on here. The women were pretty awesome. They helped start the school lunch program in the Minneapolis schools. Something, if we all had school lunch, we benefited from that work here. So we know that was in their wheelhouse many, many years ago, and it's our responsibility to keep it moving forward. Pretty exciting time. With that, we're going to tag team a little bit today. Hope that's okay. And I'm going to turn it over to Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you to the Rotary. This is exactly, as Jennifer said, this is exactly what we imagined the club doing in the future. And, in addition to everything else, the club is a 501c3 nonprofit. So when you're a nonprofit, your organization belongs to the community. So I can say this morning, welcome to your club. So thank you for being here. A couple of disclaimers. 4 disclaimers. The title, I think, of this presentation was Food Insecurity in Minnesota. I am not going to talk about that. Second disclaimer is I'm not going to talk about that because I'm not an expert on food insecurity. And you can learn all you need to know about food insecurity in Minnesota with a Google search. So I want to talk about some things that we never talk about when it comes to food insecurity. And I will also admit, I think I'm now probably going to have 5 disclaimers, because a new one is you're also going to hear my biases. But as Jennifer said, hopefully it's biases that come with a few decades of working in this field. Next disclaimer, I am not the food police. Left to my devices, last night I had microwave popcorn at the sink in my kitchen, reading the newspaper. I won't even tell you what time. Left to my own devices, I would live on 2% milk because I grew up on a farm. I'd prefer whole milk, but I'll make that concession. If I could live on milk, black coffee, gin martinis, and pie, that is all I would eat. Now but with the popcorn, that's a late night thing. So that's something that most food insecurity people are not going to talk about. Okay, what's the next one? I have notes this morning because it was a late night in my kitchen. The other piece is I'm just going to announce that I've been unable to lose the 10 to 12 pounds that I gained during COVID. So I'm just owning that. So I don't want anyone thinking, oh my God, I thought he was going to talk about food and nutrition, and he clearly has gained weight and he's eating pie and drinking martinis. So all of that said, really what I want to focus on is what I said earlier, the things that we don't talk about when it comes to food insecurity. And I think one of the interesting things about this issue, and this is a major issue, I will just acknowledge that we have never seen the rates of food insecurity in this state in our history as we currently have. And part of that is due to COVID, but this has been an ongoing issue for a long time. And all of you are part of the City of Lakes Rotary. So all you need to do is drive around the city to see how this plays out every day. So given that, there's also, I just have to say, I don't know if any of you saw the article in the Minneapolis Strib last week
military families now are suffering food insecurity at a rate of 20% of all military families. This is absolutely new, and I think we can trace directly to COVID. But what we don't talk about is this is an issue that we all have strong opinions about because all of us have our own relationship with food. So what Jennifer and I experienced early on at Open Arms, the community saw us as just getting food, any food to people who were sick. And that led to interesting discussions because it depends on your relationship with food. So some of our supporters who grew up in the Depression, any food was better than no food. People who grew up in poverty that often struggled with hunger, any food is better than no food. But the reality is, for the clients that we served at Open Arms, all with compromised immune systems, any food is not better than no food, because people with compromised immune systems are 100 to 300 times more likely to suffer from food and waterborne illnesses. So a different shift and a different conversation had to take place. All of us have judgments about, I shouldn't say all of us, I'll just speak for myself. I have judgments about food. I don't know how often any of you have been in a grocery store and you see someone paying for their groceries and they pull out what we formerly referred to as food stamps or SNAP. And all of a sudden it's like, why are they buying soda? Why are they buying this food? And it gets to, if you ask people, it gets to the fact that we have a food system in this country that perpetuates eating bad food and marketing bad food. And when you can buy a liter of Coca-Cola for a lot less money than you can buy 8 ounces of 100% fruit juice, and you have a family to feed, you are going to make those choices. So that's something that I try to get over. One of the things Jennifer knows is, for years, I took the SNAP challenge. SNAP is now Food Stamps, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, something like that. So for years, the week before Thanksgiving, I would live on the amount of money that you would get from food stamps. Now, there's all kinds of other ways to get food, but it's an interesting experiment and one that I would challenge everyone in this room to try at least once. Just figure out, I can't remember what the current amount is. I think it's roughly around $35. And plan how you're going to feed yourself for a week on $35. And then the most interesting year was the year I decided to imagine that I lived in a food desert, which also plays into food insecurity. And the only place I had to shop in my neighborhood was a Walgreens. So try buying healthy food at a Walgreens for $35 a week and see what happens. This was one of those times when I took the SNAP challenge where I actually gained weight. So it gets right back to another assumption and another bias that so many people have, and we've heard it throughout our careers, is that person can't be hungry, that person can't be food insecure because that person is fat. That person may be overweight because of the food that they can afford to buy. So those are some of the things as a field that we really don't discuss. I think the other thing is, and there have been changes, and there have been really great changes. So when I say this, I am not critical of how we as a country has responded to food insecurity. That said, historically, how we responded was by getting as much food as possible into the hands of people who are hungry. And we measured success by the weight of the food that was distributed. So this rarely happens anymore, but success was determined by organizations saying, we delivered X number of tons of food this year, and that was success. I would contend that that is not success when the kinds of food that are being distributed to people who need it most, poor people, the elderly, young children, when what we are distributing to them is food that is perpetuating obesity, is causing heart disease, is causing some forms of cancer. And today we can definitely see links with COVID. There is something wrong with our food production and our food distribution system in this country. Now, there's been great strides made to try to get healthier foods into the hands of people who need them. And we're making progress, but we have a long way to go. So I also want to pay attention to the time
So let me talk about, so what is it that we could do with this massive growing problem in this country? And the one thing that we can do, this gets to the policy side of me, is become familiar with the Farm Bill. The 2018 Farm Bill, which I think is a 5-year federal legislation, had plus minus $425 billion in the Farm Bill. So it is one of the largest pieces of legislation that's introduced federally every year. And I would again argue that our Farm Bill perpetuates many of the issues we have around food production and distribution and all of the subsequent health outcomes that come from that. So what if, we'll make it easy. Let's say it's 500 billion the next time the food bill comes up. What if we took 1% of that? And again, I will say our legislators are doing some interesting pilot work in the Farm Bill. But what if we took 1% of that and said, let's just pilot 40 whatever billion dollars in communities, especially communities of color, because more and more communities of color are looking at responding to health issues. There's much more interest in the restaurant business. There's much more interest in farming. There always has been, but there's all kinds of reasons why that hasn't played out well. So what if we took 1% of the Farm Bill and said, what are the most interesting pilot programs that we can create around this country? Can we go back to making 160-acre farms like the one I grew up on? Can we make it possible that those farmers can now grow the kinds of food that many people want to eat, which is not soybeans and it's not corn that none of us are eating directly? What if we reinforced that model of small, sustainable, organic farming? For 45 billion, we could see some tangible results with that. Other things that we can do today. I'm going to jump to, I think, my last one, which is, I think the other piece that we don't ever talk about as a community. We talk a lot about people coming out, people coming out as gay, people coming out on their political views, people coming out for all of these things. There is such shame in growing up in poverty and being hungry. How many of you have had, you don't need to raise your hands, I'm not asking for that, but ask yourselves, how many of you have had conversations with friends about how they grew up and were they ever hungry? It's something that most people don't want to talk about. And it's something that many of us have experienced. So I think the best thing that we can do as a nation is to be more open and honest about what we as individuals have experienced. Oftentimes when people hear that I grew up on a farm, they're surprised by that because I really like living in an urban center. And my personal hunger story is my dad was a farmer, 160-acre farm outside of Dawson, Minnesota. Everything was going fine. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. Everything was going fine until my dad had a series of heart attacks, could no longer farm. I didn't know at that age that when he could no longer farm, that we were thrown into poverty. I didn't know we were in poverty until I applied to go to college and did the financial aid piece. And it's like, wait, I guess we're poor. I didn't feel like we were poor, but this is how it impacted our family. Both my parents had an 8th grade education. So what my mother could do was to get a job as a cook. So she went to work as a cook. My father could no longer work. And there were always more days in the month than there was food. So my sisters and I, when it was getting to that last part of the month, this was also a great time, however, because you could write a check and it would take 3 days for the check to clear. So we didn't have to get until the 3rd day of the month when the Social Security check came. We just needed to make it to, like January 30th, and my parents could go grocery shopping. So there was always food in the house, but sometimes dinner was saltine crackers with milk poured over it. Sometimes we had milk soup, which was, we just warmed up milk and put in a pat of butter, and that was dinner. And sometimes we all agreed we just couldn't eat it anymore. And it was better that we'll just wait until the paycheck came in. And I bring this up, the other piece, and this really resonates with a lot of people, is there still is a hot lunch program. But when I was a kid, you got a different color card. So everyone knew the minute your card was punched for lunch that you were on the free lunch program. And you want to hear bullying and discrimination against kids in school when they realize that
you are poor and have to stand in the free lunch line. Again, this is an area we made progress in, but this is why this issue, even at the club, is incredibly important to both Jennifer and me. And I share this with you, even though this is not the title of what we were going to talk about, because I am 100% certain that my experience resonates with some of you here today. And I would say, if you haven't shared that with people, you consider doing it, because the only way we're going to see change on whatever issue it is that is important to us is going to be if we tell our personal stories and we start to break down, in this case, a divide that we call the hunger divide, that it isn't them. It isn't people who don't look like us. It isn't people who have different foods in their grocery cart. It's all of us. And there are things that we can do. And I just think that's a good place to start. So with that, I will end by saying, I started by saying that I'm far from the food police. And I just have an observation for all of you, which is those of you who are coming to the club, when we first started hosting you, you know, we could only do a continental breakfast because of staff and all those other things that the world is dealing with. Now we offer a hot breakfast. And I will just notice that you're not eating that much fruit anymore. And the biscuits and gravy are going really fast. So I'm thrilled that, no, that isn't, oh, no, it's the complete opposite of shaming. I'm thrilled that we all think alike, because I'm going for the biscuits as well. So anyway, thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Jennifer. Thanks.
If you were running for office, you'd get my vote. Wow, you can see the passion of which Kevin speaks from. And we had an opportunity to do something here at the club that really complements what he's talking about, which was incredibly challenging for he and I during COVID. Probably a year ago, back November, October, November-ish, we would come to the club, and at that time it was the two of us coming to work only. And we would come through the kitchen, this huge kitchen behind this wall, 2 floors, dark. As I'm coming up the street to work, and I've been asked 3 times for support, right? And then I have to walk through a dark kitchen coming from 15 years of helping with food. And Kevin and I could not do it any longer and said, we have a responsibility here at the club to turn the lights on, to cook, to support, and to be a part of the conversation and the solution. The people that founded this club would want us to do that, would support us in doing that, as would our current members. It was like the stars and moon and cloud all came together and heard us, because we were introduced to a program called Involve MM. And it is a food program that is primarily making meals and distributing them to the homeless populations. And at that time, they were getting more and more contracts to also serve not only some of the parks and the areas around town that we see, but also the hotels that were now renovating themselves, and for a short period during COVID would provide housing for the homeless. And they needed a kitchen to do their work out of. Their numbers had been growing, the contracts were coming, and there was more support needed. And at the time for us, it kind of made complete sense, right? We could turn the lights on, we could reach those that needed it, we could give another nonprofit a partnership, so a collaboration, not a competition, and we could get our members thinking differently about food, to Kevin's point, right? Members that have the means for a lovely meal 3 times a day. And that's how you start the conversation, right? It's as easy as that. And Involve moved in December, and we just celebrated along with them, and we've fallen in love with each other, and we want them to stay. Your food is prepared by the same chefs that are making the almost 1,000 meals a day they're distributing in this community. We want them to stay now, make our food for our restaurant, for our dining program, for the cocktail parties, for the member lunches, for the rooftop patio, all of it, because now we can tell the story. And I think that's what we found out during COVID too, is that restaurants, hotels, and other places really needed to challenge themselves and rethink hospitality and how they were doing things and how we could do it responsibly. So you're a very good start. Hey, without a shameless plug, can I pass out some upcoming events that are happening here that we invite you all to participate? And one I'm going to just highlight since you're in love with the biscuits and gravy. Friday mornings, we're going to experiment here a little bit for the next 6 weeks. We're anxious to open our restaurant, as is the community, as are our members. But we need help kind of piloting our way back. So we decided we would do breakfasts on Friday mornings, 6:30 to 9 a.m. You can make reservations, have a table, you can just drop by. You all are the perfect candidates for what we're trying to do. You're conducting business, you're hanging out. These two over here that had lunch, turn it to breakfast, come here on Fridays, help us figure out how to keep growing and opening even farther so we can provide those services that we love. So take a look at these, I'll pass them out. Oh, thank you, is that it? Okay.
Kevin, would you come forward as well? We have a couple things we'd like to honor you with. Thank you for speaking today. And what we'd like to do is have you each sign a book that is going to be given to a third grader through an organization called Way to Grow. And then it will be their very own book signed by a leader in the community. So if you would do that for us, that'd be great. We also, for you, we'd like to give you a bookmark that is made by some people that participate in projects that we do in Haiti around fresh water and schools. So thank you very much. Thank you.
I know you guys are itching to leave. Scott has picked out 3 names here. Mark Mossman, you get to pick. Which one do you want? Coffee, honey, or caramels? Death Wish coffee. All right. Sheila Gothman. Hey, honey or caramels? Caramels. That means Sean Irwin gets honey. All right. Woo! Thank you, everybody.
All right. You all have a good Rotary week. Thank you so much.